Hello students and namaste everyone. I am Dhaval sir and our today's topic is your standard ninth literature part chapter number 5, The Snake and the Mirror by Vaikom Muhammad Bashir, and this chapter is actually translated from Malayalam language, right, by V. Abdullah. So, the main character of this chapter is a doctor who is a homeopathic doctor and who lived in a rented room, right, which was a small room with two windows and a tiled roof. Okay, the place where he lived, the house, right, the tiles which were placed on the roof were supported by gables which rested on the beam, right. So gables means it is usually a triangular part or a structure. Okay, so we have seen some houses which have roofs, right, where there is a triangular shaped structure at the top, okay, and which is supported by beams. So that triangular part is known as gables, okay, on which the tiles were placed. Fine. And in that house there was no electricity, right, supplied. So one more interesting fact is that the place where the doctor lived was infested with rats. Infested means there were a large number of rats in that house. Okay, so one hot summer night, the doctor took his meals at the restaurant and he returned home. When he reached home, as there was no electricity, he lighted the kerosene lamp, right, and took off his coat and shirt and opened the two windows. Then he settled or sat on the chair, right, and took out a medical book to read. Okay, as he was a homeopathic doctor, he took out a book for reading which was of a medical. There was a large mirror on the table on which stood a lamp, right. So where he was sitting, in front of that there was a large mirror and on that there was a lamp. Okay, since it was too hot to sleep and had nothing better to do, he sat down in front of the mirror, right. This doctor sat in front of the mirror and he started admiring himself, right, and he was planning to improve his appearance as he was an eligible bachelor. Bachelor means a person who is not married. Okay, so gradually his thoughts shifted from self admiration to planning his future marriage. As he was not married, he was now planning for his marriage. Okay, he thought that he would marry a rich doctor having a good practice, because as from the story we can understand that he lived in a rented house, so therefore he was not a rich fellow, right. So what he decided, that he will marry a doctor, a girl who was a doctor and who was rich enough and whose practice was going well, and that he would choose a fat lady. Now here it is a very interesting fact why he wanted to choose a fat lady as his wife, because if he'll do any kind of wrong thing, then she won't be able to run after him and catch him. So that was the major reason why he wanted to marry a fat lady and not a thin lady. Okay, he was so engrossed, that means he was so much involved in his daydreaming. Daydreaming means to keep on dreaming when you are not asleep, that is daydreaming. Okay, so he was so much involved in daydreaming that he did not give much importance to the sudden silence when he was sitting in the on the chair in front of the mirror. There were some noise of the rats and everything coming, but suddenly the noise stopped and there was a sudden silence, but he did not pay much attention because he was involved in his own thoughts, right. So the rats had stopped scampering. Now what is the meaning of scampering? Usually the rats, they keep on running with uh, quick light steps. Means when they run, right, they run very fast and quickly, right, especially through fear or excitement, right? So that is scampering. And there was a sound of something falling behind him, right? So when the beginning part, the rats were running, and immediately there was a silence. Then later on, after some time, there was a noise or a sound of something which fall from the roof. Okay, so but when he reacted, right, he was uh, daydreaming. He was thinking about his marriage, he was thinking about his appearance, so he did not pay more attention. So he was very late in giving the reactions. And by the time he turned around to have a look, there was a snake wriggled over the back of the chair. Wriggled means twisted and turned. Okay, you know that the snake, they twist and turn, okay, to the body. So wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on his shoulder, right? So what did it do? It coiled around his left arm, right? It coiled around, it turned round. Coil means to turn round, on his left shoulder or a left arm, above the elbow. Okay, so it was a dangerous cobra. And its hood, we have seen the hood of a cobra, right? This is a hood. So its hood spread out when it was sitting on the elbow of the doctor. Its hood spread out, right? And it was hardly 3 inches from his face. That means this much close it was, right? When the snake was on his elbow, it was just 3 inches away from the doctor's face. And the doctor sat there like a stone statue. That means it turned itself to, it looked as if he had turned himself to a stone. That means without any movement, a total still body, right? He was very afraid to move, or else he knew that if he'll try to move here or there, the snake might strike him. Okay, so he, at that moment when the snake was on his elbow, right, he started thinking about various medicines, right, he had. And if any of the medicine was good enough, right, to save him if the snake did bite him. Okay, if the snake bite him, then what he will do? And he was thinking about the medicines which he was having with himself, which can save his life. Okay, so in this moment, right, he accepted his true worth. That means he realized that what he is thinking all about is wrong. And as and when the snake was next to him, right, he had a fear of death. He realized the presence of God next to him, right? So he thought that God had punished him for being too much proud and arrogant, because he was thinking about being changing his personality and marrying a fat girl and everything. So he realized, or he thought, that he was somewhere or the other wrong, and due to that the God has punished him, right? And he realized that he was just a mere human, a poor man, nothing to boast about. Boast means to talk in a pride manner, right? Talk with excessive proud, right? If we talk about our country India, there are so many things we can boast about, right? So many things are good enough so that we can boast. Boast means we can say, yes, I am an Indian, I belong to India. So that is boasting, to talk in a proud way. Okay, and later on, when he was sitting, the snake was on his shoulder, and the snake was also looking at the mirror in front of him, right? And a few minutes later, uh, the snake crawled off his shoulder and sat on the table in front of the mirror, right? Here we'll see in the picture, Okay, see here in the textbook also it is given the word gable. As I said, it is a triangular part or a structure. Now we'll look at the picture where the snake is sitting in front of the table. Okay, here, right? So it is it shifted from the doctor's shoulder and it stood on the table looking in front of the mirror. So the doctor got up silently and rushed out of the door. Right, he ran away, he rushed out of the door, and he went to his friend's place. And the next morning, when he returned back to his home, he found that all his belongings had been robbed of. That means everything was stolen. But for his dirty vest, VEST, right? Everything was stolen from his house, each and every belonging. But he had one old vest. Now, vest means what? It is an undergarment which is worn usually on the upper part of the body, right? And that vest typically does not have sleeves, right? Usually, we have seen that when we wear uh, a blazer, so inside that blazer there is a shirt, and on shirt we wear something which is known as vest. So he had only one vest, and it was so dirty that even the thief did not stole it. Right. So this way the story gets end, and this is what the story is all about. And we'll also end our lecture over here. Right. And I thank you everyone for watching my video.